So today we're drawing some tiny little miniature planets, and this is a little different than what I would normally create. I often draw the same thing over and over, but from time to time I try to get out of my comfort zone. So for today, that's what we've done. And these are very small. They're tiny little planets, basically just a sphere with a couple of little houses on them. They're not very big planets, okay? They're maybe only a couple acres or maybe a few miles wide or all around the sphere. So there's really not a lot of room for people and buildings, but some of them are different. They have different things going on, right? Later on, you'll see that I added some color, which signifies what the planet does. If it's green, it's a farm planet. If it's yellow or a dark orange, then it's an industrial mining planet. There's also a bunch of mines, tunnel systems, and railroads going throughout these planets, which you can see later, where there's some holes on the sides, and most of them are hollow. You have different holes that a train can go through this planet and then that way. So they are in space, but they don't rotate. They're just kind of stationary planets all put there together with these wires. They're held by wires basically, so they don't move. And so that's how the trains can go back and forth. I would say this is a pretty good drawing idea. I like the concept, and it's something that you might have not seen me draw before. I've definitely never drawn anything like this, and I'll have to do more. So this is the first page. I did title it Mini Planets Number 1. So we'll be doing many more of these, and it's one of my favorites of this month and the entire year that I've created. It's up there with Burgerland, okay? That was a good idea as well. But anyways, so these planets are they're small. They're not huge. You might think they're normal size. They're not. They're about the size of maybe twice as big as the Las Vegas sphere, if you've seen that. So it's very small. You could probably only fit 50 to 100 buildings on it and maybe a couple hundred people. Not a lot of space, but that's why there's a lot of the planets. I guess they could be meteors that are just painted as planets. Maybe they're not actually too inhabitable, but that's why there's a lot of the planets, because you can go back and forth, bring materials from this one to that one. And there's a few little unique ideas for some of these planets. There's the praying planet, where you go to pray to the almighty triangle pyramid. And then you can go to the ice planet, which has a snow globe glass encased thing going on where the weather can change. That's probably my favorite one. I like the idea of a planet having a huge globe dome where the weather is able to change all of the time. You can make it cold or warm, freezing in there. And it's also just a good defense mechanism. Of course, when the aliens come and try to destroy your planet, you want a good defense system in place where you have these indestructible glass domes so lasers and missiles can't be fired through them. There's a lot going on with these tiny planets. I'm not exactly sure how the ecosystem works, but we'll think about that later. Right now, I'm just getting the basic ideas for this down. And it's sort of like a mini comic, which I might do something like this. I wanted to make an outer space themed zine. It's just one of those drawings that makes me feel more creative and inspired. I will say the only issue that I had was drawing the tiny little houses. It's a lot more difficult than you think, okay? It's not as easy as it looks to make little houses. Some of them turned out pretty good, but none of them really look that great. They just look like boxes with little triangles on top, which, if you put a lot of them together, I guess they look alright. There's one or two buildings on one of the orange planets, and that looks pretty good. Some of them look like tents. There's also a building which is a wireless energy tower, inspired by Nikola Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower. And so I like that pretty good. The planet on the top is a little bit bigger than the other ones because I was trying to figure out the size of how big do I want it to be on the page, and it's a little bit too big. I went for a smaller sphere on the bottom ones, the 6 bottom ones, and I could have done a couple more, but it's a short video today, okay? It's a pocket-sized sketchbook. I'm working on other things in it, and I'm getting the pages done pretty quickly, and I've noticed that the drawings are better in this sketchbook than the medium-sized sketchbook, just because I'm not concerned with messing up. It's not an issue. I don't feel stressed out at all when I'm using this. Another thing that's different with this pocket-sized sketchbook is that the style is almost like the one that I had a couple years ago when I first started drawing. Things were unique, different, and I was just making whatever I wanted.